16%. That is the occupancy rate of Dubai's 827 hotels right now. Not during a pandemic. Not during a distant financial crisis. Right now, in what was supposed to be peak season. Just weeks ago, you needed a reservation and a small fortune to step foot inside one of those glittering lobbies on Palm Jumeirah. Today, you could walk into a 5-star resort that charges $1,000 a night and find yourself completely eerily alone. The infinity pools are still. The beach clubs are silent. The gold-plated elevators are carrying no one. Dubai, the city that swore it had conquered the desert, the sea, and gravity itself, is waking up to something it was never designed to handle: emptiness. To understand how extraordinary this collapse is, you have to understand what Dubai was just 90 days ago. At the close of 2025, this city stood at the absolute summit of global tourism: 19.59 million international overnight visitors, a record. Dubai International Airport was processing over 95 million passengers a year, making it the busiest international hub on the planet. Hotel occupancy averaged 86% in January alone. The revenue per available room was climbing. The real estate market had just posted its best year in history, with 270,000 transactions totaling 917 billion dirhams. Luxury villas on the Palm were selling before foundations were even poured. Every metric, every chart, every headline pointed in one direction: up. 158,700 hotel rooms spread across 770 properties, nearly 70% of them in the luxury and high-end segment. Another 4,600 rooms were scheduled for delivery in 2026. Dubai was not just succeeding, it was accelerating. The city had perfected a formula that seemed unbreakable. Take a patch of sand, pour money onto it, add a world-class airline, zero income tax, year-round sunshine, and relentless marketing, and the world will come. And the world did come, until it didn't. But here is the brutal truth that nobody in those gleaming, the boardrooms on Sheikh Zayed Road, wanted to confront. Dubai's entire model, its entire reason for existing as a global destination, rests on a single, fragile assumption: safety. The perception of safety. And on the night of February 28, 2026, that perception didn't just crack. It shattered into a million pieces across the desert floor when the first Iranian missiles and drones began striking UAE territory in retaliation for the US-Israeli military operation against Iran. Dubai's billion-dollar illusion met a force that no amount of marketing spend could overcome. Fear, raw, primal, book canceling, flight rebooking, pack your bags and leave fear. Get ready. Because what happened next turned the world's most photographed skyline into a ghost town. Within hours of the first strikes, the Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah was engulfed in flames after being hit by an Iranian missile. Let that image settle for a moment. One of Dubai's most iconic 5-star properties, the kind of place where honeymoon suites cost more than most people earn in a month, burning against the night sky. Windows shattered in luxury apartment blocks across the marina. A kamikaze drone struck the Dubai International Financial Center, the beating heart of the city's economic ambitions. 4 people were killed: Murb Zaman, Saleh Ahmed, Dibas Shrestha, and a Pakistani driver whose name many headlines didn't even bother to print. And just like that, the fantasy evaporated. If you are finding this investigation valuable, take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Your support is what allows me to bring you the stories that cut through the noise. The numbers that followed are staggering. Hotel occupancy, which sat at a comfortable 86% in January, plummeted. By mid-March it had fallen to roughly 20%. By the third week of March, the Financial Times reported that occupancy across Dubai had cratered to just 16%. For many individual properties, the figure was in single digits. Single digits. In a city with 158,700 hotel rooms. Do the math with me. That means well over 100,000 luxury rooms sitting empty on any given night. Pristine beds that no one will sleep in. Restaurants with full staff and no customers. Spas offering treatments to silence. The World Travel and Tourism Council estimated that the broader Middle East conflict was costing the region $600 million per day in lost visitor spending. Per day? That is not a typo, and a disproportionate share of that loss falls directly on Dubai, the region's undisputed tourism capital. Desert safari operators reported a 40% drop in bookings overnight. The observation deck at the top of the Burj Khalifa, which normally requires weeks of advance reservation, suddenly had no wait at all. You could walk straight up. The irony is almost poetic. The city built to dazzle crowds finally had none to dazzle. Walk through JBR Beach today and you will see something that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago. Rows and rows of empty sun loungers stretching toward a perfectly turquoise sea with no one in it. The Ain Dubai observation wheel, that 250-meter steel giant, has temporarily closed. Dubai Parks and Resorts shut its gates. Global Village, the sprawling cultural theme park that draws millions, went dark. High-end boutiques along the marina, including Gucci and Apple, shuttered branches as a precaution. A local resident described the scene to the Daily Mail in words that should haunt every Dubai property investor. Normally on a Friday, the traffic would be gridlocked and the restaurants and shops would be very busy, but the place is a ghost town now. A ghost town. Those are not my words. Those are the words of someone who lives there. Do you think Dubai can recover from this kind of reputational damage? Or has something fundamental broken? Tell me in the comments, because the debate on this one is going to be intense. Dubai without its airport is like a body without a heartbeat. Emirates, the airline that essentially built modern Dubai's global relevance, was forced into a near-total shutdown. Airspace closures across the Gulf turned the world's busiest international hub into the parking lot for grounded super jumbos. Flights were cancelled by the thousands. On some days, nearly half of all flights departing the Middle East were scrapped. By the third week of the conflict, Emirates was operating a skeletal, reduced schedule, rerouting planes on hours-long detours to avoid restricted airspace over Iran and Iraq. The ripple effects reached far beyond Dubai. 7 million passengers would normally transit through Gulf hubs in any given 2-week period. That entire flow, that river of human movement, that feeds Dubai's hotels, restaurants, malls, and real estate machine, simply stopped. British travelers, one of Dubai's top 3 source markets, began pivoting en masse to the Canary Islands, Greece, and the Caribbean. Travel agents across the UK reported that demand for the Eastern Mediterranean, and especially the Gulf, had fallen off a cliff. One Lonely Planet co-founder predicted the tourism hit could last 1 to 5 years. Think about that. Not months, years. When demand evaporates overnight, prices follow. And in Dubai, they followed fast. Hotel room rates crashed between 30% and 80% depending on the property. Rooms at luxury resorts on the Palm that were fetching $1,000 a night weeks earlier were being advertised for a fraction of that price. The authorities reportedly urged hotels to hold their rates steady to project an image of resilience. But the market had already spoken. You cannot charge premium prices for a destination that the UK Foreign Office is telling its citizens to avoid. The real estate market, which had been Dubai's golden goose for 3 consecutive years of record growth, began showing cracks within days. Reuters reported early signs of weakening by March 20th. The Dubai Financial Market Real Estate Index dropped approximately 30% from its pre-conflict highs. Goldman Sachs data showed transaction volumes falling 51% month over month. Apartment prices per square foot dropped 8% in just the first 2 weeks of March. Villa prices in some areas were slashed by over 25% as sellers scrambled to exit positions. And here is where it gets truly alarming. Fitch, the credit rating agency, had already projected up to a 15% decline in Dubai property prices through 2026, even before the first missile was fired. Now layer an active regional war on top of that pre-existing vulnerability. The 2008 playbook, when Dubai real estate lost 50% of its value in 2 years, is no longer a distant memory. It is starting to feel like a preview. If these deep dives into the forces shaping global economies matter to you, smash that subscribe button right now. What is coming next in this investigation will redefine how you see the entire Gulf region. Behind every empty hotel room is a human being whose livelihood just vanished. Dubai's hospitality machine runs on the backs of millions of expatriate workers from India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Nepal, and beyond. 9 out of every 10 people in this city are foreigners. They came for opportunity. They stayed because the kafala sponsorship system often gave them no choice. And now, with occupancy in single digits, their already precarious existence has become desperate. Hotel managers have been telling staff to burn through their remaining paid leave immediately, because there is simply nothing to do. For workers who have no leave left, the question is existential. How do you survive on 0 hours in one of the most expensive cities on earth? Tips and service charges, the lifeblood of hospitality income in Dubai, have dried up. One Pakistani cafe manager near the marina described the situation with haunting simplicity. The spring break for schoolchildren starts today, and there is hardly a Western child to be seen anywhere. Their parents have all taken them home. Thousands of residents and tourists have already fled. Those who remain are trapped in a surreal limbo, watching a city built for spectacle perform to an empty house. And the ones who cannot afford to leave, the workers earning $300 or $400 a month. They have no evacuation plan, no private jet at $250,000, no rebooking on Singapore Airlines, just uncertainty and the slow ticking of a visa clock that does not care about geopolitics. Even before the missiles, Dubai was already sitting on a landscape of abandoned ambition. The world islands, that one $4 billion archipelago shaped like a global map, remains largely undeveloped and nearly 2 decades after construction. The Dubai Creek Tower, intended to surpass the Burj Khalifa as the world's tallest structure, has been quietly shelved. Palm Jebel Ali, the second, artificial Palm Island, sat dormant for years before tentative revival plans that now face an entirely different investment climate. The Burj Jumeirah, a planned 550-meter supertall, faded from the conversation without a clear explanation. These are not small projects. These are multi-billion-dollar bets on a future that assumed the good times would never stop. And now layer on top of that the current crisis. The 4,600 new hotel rooms scheduled for delivery in 2026 are arriving into a market where existing rooms cannot find guests. Construction projects that depend on foreign capital are staring at investor confidence that has been fractured by drone strikes on the financial district. Insurance premiums for Gulf properties are surging. The cost of doing business in a city that once prided itself on frictionless commerce is climbing by the day. Dubai spent decades building monuments to ambition. The question now is whether those monuments become tombstones. There is a particular cruelty in Dubai's predicament that separates it from any ordinary downturn. This city was not built to be still. It was engineered, from its DNA outward, for motion, for arrivals, for consumption, for spectacle. Every inch of its infrastructure assumes a perpetual flow of bodies, money, and attention. The cooling systems that keep its megamalls habitable burn energy whether or not anyone walks through the doors. The artificial islands require constant maintenance whether or not a single villa is occupied. The fountains dance at the base of the Burj Khalifa every evening, even when there is no one left to watch. Dubai is a machine that cannot be turned off, and that is its most terrifying vulnerability. When the tourists leave, when the flights stop, when the investors pull back, the costs do not disappear, they compound. Every empty room still needs to be cleaned, cooled, and maintained. Every artificial shoreline still fights the erosion of a sea that never agreed to the arrangement in the first place. Every worker still needs to eat, even when there is nothing to serve. What we are witnessing is not just a dip in tourism statistics. It is an existential stress test of a model that was always built on the assumption that the music would never stop. The gilded facade is still standing. The skyline still glitters at sunset. But behind the glass, behind the gold, behind the carefully curated Instagram angles, the rooms are empty. The loungers are bare. The city is holding its breath. Dubai has survived before. It clawed its way back from 2008. It weathered the pandemic. Its leaders are resourceful. Its infrastructure is real. And its strategic ambitions are not easily abandoned. But every resurrection requires something that cannot be manufactured or marketed. Trust. And trust, once broken, does not return on a convenient schedule. So I leave you with this. Can a city that was built entirely on the promise of a dream survive the moment the world stops streaming? When the last tourist leaves and the last influencer stops filming and the last investor closes their laptop? What remains? Is it a city, or is it the most expensive ghost town ever constructed? If this investigation opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe, hit the bell, and leave your perspective in the comments below. I read every single one. And the conversation around this topic is only getting started. What comes next for Dubai, and for the entire Gulf region, is something none of us can afford to ignore. See you in the next one.